Our rules are simple, but the challenge is great. No shoulder pets, tames that can be carried, or typical boss dinos allowed. That means no Rexes, Therazinos, or any other dinos people normally use in these fights. Equipped with official server cap saddles, our 19 contenders will be backed by the commanding presence of a loyal Uteranus providing that extra boost. All competitors will go into battle with food to provide a healing effect. Herbivores will have plenty of sweet veggie cakes, and carnivores and omnivores will have cooked meat. No Overseer, because the movement speed required to get through the tech cave then chase the Overseer during the fight would shorten our list by a lot. It's important to note that tames in this series aren't typically used during boss battles because of the amount of mutations it would take to make them competitive. I'll be applying around 23,000 health and 1200% melee through mutations and experience levels to all dinos that compete. This will give them all a fair shot at defeating at least one of the Guardians. It won't always be feasible to reach these stats depending on the dinos I'm using, but I will let you know the amount of mutations and levels it took in order to reach it. All competitors start out with 50 base health and melee and 40 points in everything else before I apply mutations and experience levels. Use this information and decide on your own servers if the juice is worth the squeeze. Competitors are required to fight the Megapithecus, Broodmother, then Dragon on all difficulties, starting with Gamma, then Beta, finishing with Alpha. Their success will be annotated on this scorecard with a pass or fail system. Now let's introduce our competitor and see if they have what it takes. Equus. This majestic steed is actually pretty useful in the early game if you can manage to tame one. It has a secondary attack that deals increased torpor damage, but other than that, the only thing special is the opportunity for one to spawn as a unicorn. The stats required for this competition were reached with 60 mutations and 72 experience levels. 35 mutations and 42 levels went into health, and 25 mutations and 30 levels went into melee. Now let's see if they have what it takes. The green portal was open and it was time for the Equus to stop horsing around and ride into the Gamma Megapithecus arena to put on a monkey rodeo. I love the Equus, alright? It's one of my favorite early game tames on Ragnarok, so going into this I was rooting for them big time. But good God, their DPS is horrendous. They don't use their alternate attack at all, and I could tell right away I was going to be in for a long night of battles. The under horses were actually pretty easy to maneuver, so they have that going for them. Their hitboxes are actually pretty good too. Herbivores draw aggro before carnivores, so I wouldn't be able to cheese the dragon, so I was pretty skeptical about how far the Pony Express could really go. But it can go at least far enough to beat the Gamma Megapithecus, earning their first pass of the night. The Gamma Broodmother was up next, and if you noticed during the Megapithecus fight, the Underhorse actually has a bit of trouble landing shots. There's something a bit wonky going on with a lot of the creatures in Ark's attack range that makes it so that they can't attack some of the bosses from certain angles. I'm sure it's like this too for some of the bigger dinos when you bring in a horde of these guys. When it comes to low DPS, like we're seeing with the Equus, I automatically know that they're unlikely to succeed during the Alpha or maybe even the Beta Broodmother fight, but I've been surprised before. The Galloping Guardians are able to dish out enough pain and resist enough damage with the help of their sweet veggie cakes and put the Gamma Broodmother down, earning their second pass. Check out this maneuver. If you don't send in your tames and you charge in like this in turn, then the first fire breath doesn't hurt anyone. This is actually a huge deal if you can successfully pull this off. The prancing ponies are able to get in and shine at them dragon toes without taking much damage at all. It would be absolutely amazing if they were able to deal more damage though. Remember, I only used around 1200% damage in this series on all creatures, so you can always add more mutations if you decided to use the Equus, but the amount of mutations you'll need isn't really worth it. The Underhorses may not be the strongest, but they put out enough hurt to take down the Gamma Dragon and earn their third pass. The blue portal was open and the Galloping Guardians were ready to charge into battle against the Beta Megapithecus. This was just your standard attack this target and wait kind of game. The big man aggroes onto the horses and Commander Utes just has to sit back and roar a bit while fighting off the occasional foolish monkey that wanders over. Veggie cakes help a lot, but it's still a good idea to clear off any mobs that build up on your tames during the Beta and Alpha boss fights. That damage might seem small, but it adds up quickly. The Underhorses struggled to land any significant shots during this one, and if you're paying attention to the time up top, you'll see that this fight takes forever. I saw this coming in the beginning, and I made sure every horse had 20 veggie cakes before the Beta and Alpha fights. You'd be surprised to hear that they ate almost all of the cakes during this fight, which wasn't great for my confidence going forward. The Beta Megapithecus put up a hell of a fight and was quite challenging for the Pony Posse, but eventually they're able to put him down, earning another pass. The Beta Broodmother was up next, and this vicious beast is a lot harder than she looks. The Stellar Stallions were truly going to be put to the test on this one. I can't say it enough. Damage is so important in this fight, and the Nene Ninjas just don't have that going for them. They're able to surround the Broodmother fairly easily, but she's still able to hit them from all angles. With bigger creatures, you can actually keep the ones behind the broodmother from being hit when they attack, but smaller ones that we've seen in this series get hit even if they're behind her big ass. The entire duration of this fight was full of courage roars and Commander Utes jumping in to fight off the Araneos that would build up on the fighting foals. The beta broodmother hits so much harder than the beta Megapithecus, and she's constantly shitting baby spooters out of her dumper, and they become a huge nuisance during this fight. Always try to kill the ads. The beta broodmother took out 5 underhorses and left the rest severely damaged, but they pulled it off, earning a surprising pass. The beta dragon arena is always a fun time, said no one, ever. I think the dragon took off like 10 times during this fight, and as you know, every landing means a fresh fire breath attack that will likely hit something. I'm able to mitigate most of that damage during this fight, and to be honest, a lot of this was luck. Commander Utes remain unscathed for quite a while, but the longer that the fight goes on, the more complacent people can get, especially my lazy ass. I'm able to keep the underhorses gathered closely around the ankles of the dragon, but I start catching stray fire breath attacks on Commander Utes here and there. It doesn't take long, and eventually Commander Utes is engulfed in flames for the last time, and he unfortunately burns to death. I'm able to maneuver around the backside of the dragon without getting hit, which is awesome, considering at this point the majority of my armor was all gone. I'd have to finish out the rest of the fight on horseback, and here you can see the small damage difference between the primary and secondary attacks of the Equus. It was a long and hard fight against the beta dragon, but the underhorses get another pass. The red portal is up, and you're probably just as surprised as I am to see it. I don't know how the hell they made it this far, but here we are. The Alpha Megapithecus is up first, and let me tell you, the Equus can't hit this guy for shit. This fight takes place all over the arena, and they're constantly getting pushed around. It doesn't take long before I realize that this is going to be a difficult fight, and we're going to need a miracle to pull this off. The Alpha Megapithecus doesn't hit that hard, but if the prancing ponies can't hit him, then eventually he's going to get the upper hand after the veggie cakes are depleted. This actually takes a lot less time than I anticipated, and he wipes the underhorses. After the shit is off my face, Commander Utes and I leap to our death because we ain't gonna be killed by no damn Megabitchicus. The sexiest creature of all is up next, Alpha Broodmother, also known as Babe. I know I said I was out of town the past week and a half, but truthfully it was because Mama Broods and I went on a vacation together. I let her buy the tickets since she was complaining that I always plan too much. I did air quotes just now, but you couldn't see them. One of these days I'm going to get a camera. Anyway, she wouldn't tell me where she booked the vacation, and I was kind of excited because I gave her $4,000 to plan this trip, and she said she used all of it. When the time came for us to leave, she blindfolded me and threw me up on top of her dump truck, and off we went. Naturally, we had some trouble with the airline because her big ass wouldn't fit in the seat, and she refused to let me upgrade to first class or buy her another ticket. In her words, I don't really know what she said, it was just angry spider noises, but she wasn't happy. She ate everyone on that plane. It was horrifying. But I love a woman who can clean the meat off a bone with one slurp. I never got my money back for that trip because of homicide charges or something, so we just spent the entire week at home watching movies and eating dodo wings at our favorite beachfront restaurant. We made sure to stick with the mild wings this time so she wouldn't shit the bed. It's good to be home. The Alpha Dragon is up next, and I didn't have much hope going into this. This fight took almost the full time, so keep an eye on that clock up top. It started off pretty rough, and I made a handful of mistakes early on. Eventually I recovered, and I was able to have a handful of moments of uninterrupted damage on the dragon, meaning he wasn't hitting anything and not taking off while he got his toes nibbled on by Seabiscuit and Black Beauty. I was gonna say Artax, but I still haven't recovered from that movie. You know, when you think about it, there's a shitload of horse names I could have used. Anyway, everyone's least favorite pastime happened again. Poor Commander Utes burned to death, and I had to go bareback on horseback to finish this sucker off. I honestly couldn't believe that the Alpha Dragon was about to be beaten by a bunch of Equuses, zebra donkeys. The underhorses finished off the night with a strong showing against the Alpha Dragon, capping it off with a solid pass and avenging the brave Commander Utes. Heading over to the scoreboard, the Equus/Unicorn earns a surprising silver boom medal. If you're new to the channel, gold is for a full clear, silver is for clearing beta, bronze is for clearing gamma, and shit is for shit. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to help this community grow. I love interacting with everyone in the comments, so please feel free to hit me up with some feedback. You can also reach out on any other social media that I have listed on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.